The gentleman from Florida, Mr. Donalds, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Harris, Ms. Hewlett, thanks so much for being here. Ms. Hewlett, I'm going to start with you. So everything I've been able to surmise from today's hearing is that there was a dual regulator for SVB. It was part your department, part the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. At what point did you or the SF Fed realize you were having structural balance sheet liquidity issues with SVB?
We recognized that on March 9th, when SVB had a negative cash balance of $958 million, they were insolvent. And
well, Ms. Hewlett, and I want to go back because I think everybody understands the insolvency aspects when it actually occurred. But at what point did the supervisors of the bank, the actual people on the ground, did they start to see that there were some potential issues with the structure of the balance sheet? When did that start occurring? Because the bank had been cited at least 13 times up before its failure. So, like, give me that process. Like, when were they notified?
They were notified numerous times.
And what was the response?
Definitely in 2022. However, I don't, and I can't speculate as to what was in their mind, but they were given numerous supervisory letters, and definitely when that run started to happen and depositors started to withdraw their money out of the bank.
Ms. Hewlett, once the run starts, the game's over. So
right.
The run, we understand that piece. What I'm trying to ascertain is they were cited numerous times. And by the way, I was in commercial banking. That's where I started my career. I've dealt with regulators. They were cited numerous times. What was the response from Silicon Valley Bank when they were being cited? What was their response? And actually, what was the tone from your agency or from the SF Fed in response to Silicon Valley Bank's lack of curing the issues that were coming up in their audits and their reviews?
Liquidity risks were noted in 2021.
I know, but
and remediation was not taken seriously by bank management.
Okay.
Regulators did not move aggressively in
Why didn't the regulators move aggressively enough?
I do believe that regulators at the time worked more in a culture, particularly on the state banking side, to give a bank time to remediate.
Well, Ms. Hewlett, and I got 2 minutes left, so I understand what you're saying. From our perspective, we have various members who want to talk about new regulations and different things like that. But what it appears to me as is that SVB was too cozy with the regulators. There's a lot of fraternization going on, and nobody put the hammer down when they should have at the time when they noticed the structural liquidity issues on the balance sheet. Ms. Harris, I'm going to come to you. I know we talked a lot of SVB in this hearing. In New York, Signature Bank, tell me, were there any supervisory findings that were given to Signature Bank prior to their collapse?
Yes, numerous.
And what was the response from Signature Bank?
Inadequate remediation.
What was the response from the regulators?
In some cases, downgrades. In some cases, additional supervisory recommendations, but nothing as strong as there should have been.
Nothing as strong. Okay, so look, it seems like we're in the same place here. And by the way, I'm not a fan of Dodd-Frank, never have been. As somebody who worked in the industry and understood what happened during the financial collapse, Dodd-Frank is an albatross of a regulatory scheme. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. And under Dodd-Frank's framework, we still have these banking issues. It may not be the large, massive banks, but regional banks play a significant role in our financial system. I guess so I would ask both of you, as being representatives of your regulatory agencies, what's going to change in terms of holding bank management to sound banking principles if they can just look at your letter and ignore you?
Sir, I'll take the first stab. I think it's a good point. We are working to escalate things quickly and under my time in my 19 months at DFS to take swifter and more severe action where necessary.
Do you think, final question, Ms. Harris, I'm going to ask you, do you think it's appropriate at this point for the Federal Reserve to actually be in charge of supervisory oversight of banks?
Yes.
Do you think they're good at their job?
I think all regulators are working on recommendations to improve oversight.
All right, I yield back.